Good evening, Jeremy. So before we begin, I wanted to ask you guys a bunch of questions. Do you guys see any relevance as to why we've picked this topic around this time of the season? Like this time of the month or something? You guys want to have any relevance to what's happening around? Yes, or Diwali, yeah. For some of us, Diwali means festival of sweets and all that. Yeah. For us, we thought Diwali is festival of colors apart from Holi. Yes. Festival of light and colors. Exactly why. Also, this was one of the most voted topic in the previous section. That is another reason as well. But Diwali is one of the biggest reason why we picked this topic for today. So we'll get started. So we gathered here to talk about basics of colors in interior designing. So I feel some familiar faces here, and if you're new to this platform, if you're new to Archihive, let me take a minute to explain what Archihive is. Archihive is the biggest resource platform for materials, right? You can look for materials online. There is a mobile application available on Google Play Store. Every month we host 2 design talks, one on design and one on materials. Our previous events are there on YouTube. Some of it are the mood boards. We've also done design talk on architectural style minimalism. We've covered carpets. Last time we did interior lighting, right? You can check out our YouTube page for more such events, and do follow us on all social media platforms for upcoming events. So today you have me as the host and the moderator for the day. Then you have Samruddhi from Archihive. She will walk you through the basics of colors in interior design. And we have the expert Kasturi Chipade from Space Edge. So she'll tell us on how to create a color palette, how to apply colors in interior space, and how colors change the way you look at the perspective of a space and the way you look and design, right? Let's jump into that. Somebody, over to you.
Hi guys, a very good evening to all of you. It's great to see you all here. And without wasting any more time, I think we can jump into the presentation. So what you see is these are the topics that we'll be covering today. We'll go through some basics of color theory, color palettes. We'll be explaining in detail. We'll understand the role of colors in interior design and how important colors are for us. Also, we look into some key considerations before making the final selections for colors. And we'll also be looking at practically creating color palettes. We will be looking at some tips and tricks for that. For that, we have with us our expert for today, Kasturi. Hi, Kasturi. It's great to have you here.
Hi, thank you for having me, guys.
So let's move directly to the topic, starting with Anusha. Can we move to the next slide? So understanding the basic definition of what colors are. So I think when we walk into a room, the way our eyes really translate color and combinations, that really has an effect on how we interpret the comfort level of the space, which is why colors are very important for us in our day-to-day life. Even if we don't notice, we don't consider it to be, but it does affect our mood and our overall comfort in the space. Now, understanding why they are so important, moving on to the next slide. So just moving on to the next slide, I would want to ask you all a question, like, why do you think colors are so important? Why is it so important to create a perfect color scheme for a particular area? What do you guys think? What are your views on this? Please answer me in the chat. We'll definitely take up your points. I will move ahead right now. So importance of colors, talking about importance. The main reason I feel colors are important because it is a form of a non-verbal communication. So, and it does affect our mood, emotions, it decides our comfort level and interprets style. And very next to it, you see these colors and there are different emotions, energies, and things written on it, Basically, it is the color psychology. So for example, if we enter into a room which has a lot of green shades and tints and tones of greens, the but natural feeling is you feel very close to nature, you feel very calm, you feel very serene, and you do feel very fresh. Vice versa, if you go into a space which has a lot of reds in it, you will feel a different kind of energy. You will feel passionate, you will feel powerful. So this is how color speaks for itself. You don't have to really express it, but it gives you that feeling. Next, we will be looking at some basic terms that we need to understand before we jump into the color world. Anusha, can we move? I'm sorry, guys, if there's some time lag, please bear with it. So moving on to the basic definitions of hue, tint, shades, and tones. Hue, the name of the color, such as red, blue, yellow. So the term for these colors is called hues. Tints are a mixture of color with white, and opposite to that is the shade, a mixture of color with black. And when we talk about tones, it is produced either by mixing a color with gray or by both tinting and shading. But why do you think this is important? Why do we need to understand use like these terms? Is basically in order to understand that these things create illusion. They create depth of the space, and they communicate the message very clearly to why the room is colored in a particular way. So do remember these terms because we'll be using these terms throughout the presentation. Now we get into the color theory. So understanding the color theory is again important. This is very basic. I'm sure we all are aware of this. But before we move to color palettes, we need to understand how these colors came into existence and what is their role. So there was a question in that we had in the, like you guys have registered for this event before, and we had few questions. So one of the question was how to remember this color wheel. I think remembering a color wheel, more than that, you need to understand how it is formed. You need to understand the concept. So let me talk a little about primary colors. The meaning of primary is important, main. So very much with the meaning, these colors are the building blocks for all the colors. They cannot be made with any other colors. So in primary colors, you have red, you have blue, and you have yellow. So with these colors, the whole color palette is formed. Okay. Moving to secondary colors. Now these can be created with two primary colors. So when we talk about secondary colors, we have orange, we have green, we have purple. So now we already have 6 shades. And then moving to tertiary colors, this is basically a combination of primary and secondary colors both. So if you remember these 3 things, you will know how a color wheel is formed. So considering these colors, their shades, tints, and tone will form the color wheel. So all you need to remember is primary colors, secondary, and tertiary colors. Okay, next. Can we move to the next slide? Now, after understanding the color wheel, these colors are again categorized as warm colors and cool colors. As you can see in the warm colors, you see that the message that the warm color gives is creating like a cozy, intimate space. They're associated with energy, playfulness, and happiness. These colors are associated with energy, playfulness, and happiness. And they give a feeling of inviting. They create a feeling of inviting. So these are very popular option in kitchens and living rooms where you actually want people to come, sit, talk, gather, all of that. Contrary to that is cool colors. So cool colors contribute to like a sleek yet soothing vibe, giving you a calm, relaxing feeling and a freshness. These are popular options in bathrooms and bedrooms, if I'm not wrong. And they do give, like if you use cool colors in smaller spaces, they give you a feeling of being expansive. It makes the space look expansive. Now, next, what we're going to get into is our major color palettes that we will understand today. So these are the different types of color palettes: monochromatic, complementary, analogous, tried, and neutral. Of course, there are many more color palettes, but I think if we understand these 5, we can relate to other color palettes as well. So let's move on to our first color palette, monochromatic. Monochromatic. So mono means one. So monochromatic are basically variations in a single color. So once you have chosen like your base color, you can choose from the color wheel. You can go with the hues, and you can use the same color in different variations. You can use it in different saturations with their shades and tints. So I think this will be one of the easiest color palette to be created, because you just have to select one single color, and then you have to just create the drama around the same color. So let's go to the next slide. There is 2 examples of monochromes. So here, if you see, it does have just one single color, and the whole drama is created around it. In the right side, the picture, a warm red is used, and the same color is just used in its shades and tones. And similarly, on the left side also, you see this grayish blue English color, which is played around. So monochromes could be the easiest to use, but we need to remember that overdoing it in the same room will also be a little tricky. So we really need to understand where these schemes can be used. And for the same, I think I would like to really put up a question to Kasturi as to what do you think, where will these monochromes be ideal?
So I think that according to me, monochromatic schemes are well suited for a space where there's a concept, maybe a retail store, maybe a cafe, or maybe if you want to create like a corner somewhere, because a lot of the same color can get boring over the period of time. But right, it definitely suits well to restaurants or retail spaces, commercial spaces like that.
Okay. That was a great insight. Guys, if you have any questions during the presentation, anything, please put up in the chat. We will be addressing all your questions by the end of the session. I'm moving on to the next color palette. So we have the next color palette we'll be studying today is complementary. This is a very interesting color palette. Basically 2 colors that are exactly on the opposite sides of the color wheels. This color palette is easy to understand. Opposite sides of the color wheels, and they form like a strange contrast. The combination provides a high contrast and a high impact color combination. So together, this combination can appear brighter and I think even more prominent. Also, can we move to the next slide? There are some examples of complementary. So I think again, this color palette is, you need to be very careful while using, because this will not be the first combination anybody can think of, because these colors have very different contrasts to it, and which is why we need to be sure that we are going to like it in long term. So again, I think we need to know what are the limitations of these complementary color palettes. If Kasturi, can you please put up some light on that?
The complementary scheme limitations are that, see, both the colors are very strong. They both are very dominant. So to strike a balance to achieve a perfect scheme in this palette is kind of difficult. It's not always easy. So I would say the limitation is that we need to address that the colors are dominant. So we need to understand how to go about the tones of those colors to achieve that perfect balance. So I think the limitation will be that it's very tricky to achieve.
Also, I think this palette will be very eye-catching. So we need to be Yeah, so we need to be sure that maybe this color palette can be used in a special place, like if in your residence, if you have a special like a private space for you, and you're going to go there every day and find this, you know, you're going to do some interesting activity, this could be a great option. Also in play areas, and I think this can be one good option for
used. Yeah, you can also create accent spaces in residences using this scheme.
Oh, okay. Fine. Moving on to the next one. I think we addressed this question, yes. Next, we are studying today is analogous color palette. Speaking technically, analogous colors are three colors next to each other on a color wheel. So they can be composed of one dominant color, usually a primary or a secondary color, and then a supporting color, which can be secondary or tertiary. And the third color is generally a mix of these two colors. So that is how you frame this palette. And seeing the examples. Anusha, can we move on to the next slide? So yeah, if we see the examples, again, this creates very interesting spaces of like we use all three, we do use primary, secondary, and tertiary. And I think creating a balance in this palette is really important, because one color can't be dominating the other. We want to use the whole palette, so we need to create a balance, and we need to decide the proportions of this. And I'm sure there are some rules that we might address later for deciding on the proportions of colors. All right. So next palette for today is Triad. So Triad. So three colors that are evenly spaced on a color wheel. This could be the basic definition of how you to form a triad color palette. And this provides again a high contrast color scheme, but I think it would be less than that of a complementary combination. Also, it will look very versatile, very high. It will have a very high drama. So if you see the image in the slide, you see that it looks like a lot is happening in that space. So this again, triad can be used in, as per me, I think they can be used in lounges or clubs or something, spaces where, you know, you expect variety of things to happen at one time, because different areas can be located with different colors. That is how this palette is used. Can we have some examples for it? And I think the two most basic triad palettes are red, blue, yellow, and orange, purple. Yeah, so see, these are few examples of triad color palettes here. So again, more than the combinations, I think the function of the space, what is the function of the space, plays a major role in deciding the color palette. Like you can't have a triad color palette, not majorly in your bedroom, because you don't want to go back to a space every day and see so much. You really want to go and calm and be relaxed in that space. So the purpose or the function of the space is very much important before deciding the color palette. Moving on to the last color palette for today. Neutral colors, yes. I think a great way to start selecting color palette is going with neutrals, because these colors form the base of design element. And when we use neutrals, one major advantage is that in case you want to use some pop color to it, some accent color to it in maybe one particular chair or one particular wall, you can always keep changing that with time, because if there is a neutral base, you can always keep experimenting with that. And neutral colors are most clearly defined as hues that appear to be without color. They don't typically appear on color wheel. These colors don't typically appear on color wheel, and they do not they cannot be competed with primary or secondary colors, because they rather complement them, if I'm not wrong. And I think this is something generally everybody likes. I'm not sure the reason of it, but I think this is one of the most preferred palettes. We do see these images a lot on Pinterest and websites like that. So Kasturi, again, I need your insights on why neutrals are most preferred today.
I think that neutrals, first of all, as you rightly mentioned, it acts as a backdrop or a canvas for a space. So, you know, I can add my colors into my furnishings, my sofas, my carpets, etc. And these things can always be moved around in the house or, you know, changed later on. And the second most important thing why people prefer this is because, you know, how colors, you said that colors have effect on your emotions. These colors, you know, instantly give you that soothing, calm vibe. You know, it's very comforting. So one of the major reasons why people prefer is that it gives you that soothing effect. Walk into a room.
All right. Moving on to the next, again, guys, I would want to remind you that Archihive does come with a lot of events for you all. So please keep following us on Instagram. Do follow us on YouTube. We have a channel where we put up all these recordings. So you can always go back to it. Let's proceed. So now, I think we're coming to a little major part of the colors, because till now we just brushed up on things that we already know. Now we're moving to what is the really the role of colors in interior design. Okay, so how colors behave, how they change their character, and how they influence our mood. This all is the role. Like we already have spoken about this, but you know, really understimulating an environment or a space, or overstimulating an environment, both colors can do. Like they can actually illuminate a dark space, and also if needed, they can actually make you feel, if you want to just, you know, go back to your personal space, and if you want to feel within yourself, they can actually create that compactness for you also. How is it really done is what we're going to see now. We are going to take different examples of different roles of colors that, you know, we do apply, but we have never really noticed. The first thing I'm covering today is enlarging a space. So how can a color enlarge a space? So majorly using contrast and light colors, using neutral colors can do this for you. Using colors that reflect natural light a lot can make a space look enlarged than what it is. And also I think colors like off-white, dusky blue, light grays, these can be used. Also, enlarging a space obviously means you need to invite some light, and you want the light to reflect also in the same area, which is why colors play a great role in doing this. Next role, I think what a color can do is, as I spoke about, compacting a space. So this, yes, not a very preferred role. Nobody wants to feel that you're in a compact space, but this is done just to proportionate areas. Okay, so if you feel that, okay, for an example here, if you feel a staircase is oversized, or it is not required to what it is designed, and you just want to make an illusion that the space is a little compact and closer or intimate to you. So this can be done with colors. You can opt for darker colors generally, because darker colors absorb natural light, and they give you a feeling of an enclosed space. Next point. Here we are talking about lowering a ceiling. Now the question is, why would you want to create a feeling of lowering the ceiling? Imagine being in an auditorium, or maybe like a multi-purpose hall or a library, where the spaces are horizontally really wide and huge, and you don't really know the focus of the space, which is why you would want to, you know. So if, for example, if you see the image above, the ceiling is colored in blue, and if you see the example, I think it's a library, and the ceiling has a texture, it is given a pattern which creates a focus for that large horizontal space. And this again is done in darker colors, because darker colors absorb the natural light and give you a clear focus to where you have to look. So for example, if you go to a multi-purpose hall, and if there is a wedding happening, we do see that the stage is decorated. There are a lot of colors around it. Why? Because in that whole area, you want to particularly focus on that stage, which is why colors are used. Okay. Next, moving on to the next point. Okay, again, making a space look wider. Now, this can be done in lobbies where the space is really narrow and you want to create an illusion of, like you want to create an illusion. So what you can do is you can actually color the back wall and the ceiling and have a maybe a similar texture to it. Example is given in the picture below. You see the back wall and the ceiling is done in the same pattern and the same color. This creates an illusion of a two-point perspective, which gives you a feeling that the space is much wider than what it is actually designed to. So these are all creating illusion. These are roles, what colors do, but we really have never noticed it. Okay, moving on to the next point. Opposite to what we studied from the last point, narrowing a space. So painting two opposite side walls in dark colors can get your focus in the center. Why would you do this is again to proportionate spaces, to proportionate the spaces with the rest of the areas of your plan. So if there is an error in the design, colors can rectify that for you. Moving on to the next one. Shorten the space again just to proportionate the areas to make the space more intimate and feel closer. Dark tones, textures in contrast to other colors of the rooms can be used. If you see the example below, you see the all the whites are like all the walls there are colored in white, and the space really looks like a narrow, the space looks narrow, but that one wall painted in black or maybe gray is creating some focus and is highlighting the space, and will get you, it will make you feel closer to that particular area. Next one. Highlighting a wall. Now this can be done in two ways. One is what is shown in the slide. If you see the image above, the ceiling and the opposite walls are colored in the same like colors. It is painted in the same colors, and this creates a focus at the center wall. This is one way to do it, and vice versa. The general way that we do for highlighting a wall is coloring that wall itself, like giving a texture to the wall itself where you want to focus. So there are two ways to this. It will be eye-catching, even though it will be light color. Like even if you use light colors to the all these walls and you create some focus, maybe you put up some painting there, or you want to put up some artwork there. This technique can be used. Next one. Okay, this is the last point where we're talking about shorten a wall. Now this is done to reduce the height of the room virtually. So if you see the example here, I think this looks like a cafeteria where you really want to maybe the ceiling, the height of the room is too huge for what is needed, and you want to virtually reduce the height. You want to segregate the sitting area and you want to segregate your other areas and as per the function. So this again, a technique can be used to shorten the wall. Okay, so here we did we understood some roles of the function of colors, and now we are considering we are going to look at some key considerations before we make our final selections. Like these are just small tips that we need to consider. First being function. So as I think I've already spoken about this, function of the room plays a major role. Colors for kids room is going to be different to colors for a library, to colors for living room has to be very different to what you select for your bathroom. So the use, the function, and the end user of the space is something we have to consider. Second point is mood. Again, it very much goes with the function, that if you want to go in a living room, your mood has to be, generally your mood is like, okay, you want to get together with your family, you want to do some different activities there, you want to watch TV and things like that. So that again decides what colors you want. Can we move to the next slide? And some other considerations. So again, these 3 points go very hand in hand. The location, the opening and direction, openings and their directions in the room, and the natural light. These things, why it is important is, so in case your room has a lot of openings, there is a lot of natural light coming into the room. Also, if there is some landscape just outside the room, all of that is going to have an effect on your colors, and you are going to perceive the colors in a very different way, which is why you need to consider where exactly your room is located, what kind of light you have in the room, the daylight, the artificial light, both. And then you also have to consider the directions in which these openings are placed. Okay, so I think I covered a lot of theoretical part of it, and now Kasturi is here with us. She will be guiding us to actually considering some practical ways of creating color palettes and more to it. Again, repeating, if there is any question till now, if you have anything you want to ask me or Kasturi, please put up in the chat. We will consider it. Over to you, Kasturi.
Thank you, Samruddhi. Now, while creating a color palette, first of all, what Samruddhi explained earlier, those considerations need to be taken care of before. So we need to understand the kind of natural lighting that enters into a room, the kind of artificial lights, first of all, that is going to come in the room, the location of the room, like rightly explained by Samruddhi. And after this, now we move to how to choose a color palette for your room or for your space. So we can move to the next slide. We've jotted down a few pointers and we'll explain them to you now. So first of all, I would suggest that you limit the number of colors that you want to use in a space, because you don't want to use a lot of colors in the room. Maybe you can use 2 or 3 colors at max in one space. So like that, there are not too many colors that you're playing with. We've seen the color schemes before. Samruddhi has explained it to us. So 2 or 3 colors maximum in a residential space are more than enough to create a color scheme. Now, how to choose the colors, we'll move on to the next slide to see that. So if you have to, for example, how to get to a conclusion of what colors I want. First of all, you can, look into the nature. You can get inspired from nature. You would ask why to get inspired from nature, because nature's colors are very earthy. They are very comforting. They are not too in your face. So I think looking for colors in the nature is the best thing, like sunset colors, like your sea colors. All these colors are very beautiful. So you can take inspiration from them and see what resonates to your psychological moods. We can move on to the next slide. So there's a simple thumb rule of 60, 30, 10. So 60% of your color in the room can be your dominant color. The 30% can be the secondary color, that is maybe your highlight wall or your contrast wall, or how Samruddhi explained of making the spaces narrow, shorter, or however it needs to be. And the 10% can be your pop of colors, maybe really pop, like red, green, pink, or blue. So I think this thumb rule can be used where nothing can really go wrong. It's like a go-to thumb rule. So how setting a contrast is very important to create highlights in your room, because not always a monochromatic scheme can work for your living room. So if you can create a contrast while using these contrast color schemes, then I think that it will give a very good effect for your color palette. I really want to elaborate a lot on this point, because I have myself experienced this, that colors have a very much psychological effect on you. Like if you remember walking into a space and thinking, oh my God, I just love this space. I love the vibes in this room. So I think that you need to first understand what colors you are resonating with, and you need to understand which colors. So choosing a color palette is a very personalized and a very subjective topic. So while choosing a color palette, really dig deep, go inside and see what colors resonate with you, and then choose your color palette. So neutrals is your go-to, according to me. It's the best way to go about for starting in your buttons, in art, etc., which can always be moved around. Here's a simple app that lets you choose the colors. So it's called Color Scheme Pro by Asian Paints. So you go in the app, you click a picture, and it automatically detects the colors that are there in the photo. So that's how you can really be inspired by nature or any other space and choose your colors from their color palette. There are a few other apps also out here mentioned, which can help you create a color palette if you're too confused or if you don't know where to start with. So you can check these things out. Maybe you can screenshot this and use it for your reference.
I think this is a very good, these apps really are useful because generally we decide on color palettes looking at some inspirational pictures, something from Pinterest, and we don't know what exactly color schemes what are used. But if we can actually click that picture and put this on app and have the color palette with us, I think nothing better than that. I mean,
nothing better than that. Yeah, I know it majorly helps. So I think
understanding the color palette, like creating color palette is great. Before we move on, you all have a screen, like you have a pop-up in this. Please select, give us the appropriate answer for the same before we proceed. I request you all to please answer the pop-up. Now, Kasturi, I really like understanding this whole colors and everything. I really would want to know from you the process of selection to the final output, because there is so much confusion. Just everybody in the family is very specific that I want this color, I want this color. So how do you get a balance of all of this, and what is the entire process of this? So please address that.
Okay, sure. So what happens is when we decide on a color scheme, when we are doing the renovation or we're starting the interior design of a space, what we do is we get our mood boards in space. We get our materials in space. So we first understand what materials we want to use. We first understand what kind of a mood are we going for? What is the brief that's given by the client? So the briefs are, sometimes one word briefs, like I want a very cool color scheme, or I want a very young looking color scheme. So based on that, we first try to, shortlist the color palettes or the color scheme that we're going for. And then we move on and go to select the other materials. So what happens is once we have our mood boards in place, we kind of have an idea of what colors we're going to use later on for our wall paints and all of that. After that, as mentioned and explained by you, Samruddhi, we understand the function of the space. If it's a living room, if it's a cafeteria, if it's what is the function of the room, how much light that room has, what is the kind of artificial lighting that it's going to have. So all these factors considered, we understand whether we want to go for a warm color scheme, we want to go for a cool color scheme, and what do we want to do with the space? Do we want to narrow the space? We want to enlarge the space? So understanding all the factors that you have mentioned before, we come to a conclusion of the color scheme, basically. And of course, all these factors considered, we also understand the client's, the end user's needs. Like, I'm not going to use the white color. For example, if I'm doing a monochromatic scheme, or if I'm doing a neutral scheme in a kid's bedroom who's like 3 or 4 years old, he's not going to understand it. So it has to be personalized to every user in the house. So how you said that, the family comes together and doesn't understand what needs to be done where. So I think that we sit with each of our clients and we understand what are they looking for. And that's how we derive a mood board. And that's how we finally come to a conclusion of, painting it. Also, one more quick tip for all of you out there. If you're looking for coloring your house, painting your house, or renovating your house, I would suggest that the shade cards that we have are very, very tricky. So it's always, nice to have 3 or 4 samples painted on your walls, especially when you're going for grays, especially when you're going for pop of colors like reds and blues and greens, because the shade cards cannot be trusted, because the shade card will show you a light green and it might be a little darker than it is. So I think this is a very like a pro tip for y'all before y'all start selecting and start painting your houses. So this is the process. And eventually I just feel like y'all need to come down to a point of what color resonates with you. And I think you'll have your color scheme in place.
Yes, very rightly said, because again, color is very subjective. And so here are a few questions that we already had from our registered members. We'll address them. Meanwhile, you others can actually put up any questions in the chat. Anusha will address it with Kasturi and me. I'll just take up these questions right now, Kasturi. So I think the first question is again about sunlight and artificial lighting on color schemes. I think you've already spoken with. Maybe you can elaborate. Yeah. So, would like to know about sunlight and artificial lighting in color schemes. That is.
So what happens is sunlight, the natural light that comes into a room is the major factor that we consider. And along with that, the artificial lighting also matters. Like what kind of, so there are color temperatures for your lighting. So there's 3000, 4000, 6000. That's another technical part. But if I'm using a white technical light and I'm doing a very stark white on my walls, so that would make the room look very stark white. But the stark white with my yellow lighting will look soothing. And in the natural lighting also, it will be soothing. So in this, to answer your question, I think seeing the samples that you make in natural light and in the night is very important. So that's how you understand if you really want to go for this tone or not.
Okay, and again, I think I discussed this with you, but again, like whether lights first come or color first come, that is again, I think a bit confusing. I think as you said, the color is the last part that we do in the house.
Yeah.
But
yeah, correct.
Selecting color palettes is one thing, and again, those colors going with our artificial lights is one thing. So maybe we really need to give it a time to observe also whether you want to make some final selections.
So that's when Samruddhi, our mood boards come into play. So mood boards are done ahead of time for the project. So basic mood boards are done. For example, I want to make this wall gray, but what tone of gray I want to make is decided at the last when all the materials and lights and the artificial lighting comes in play.
Right. Our next question is color concept for healing environment in hospital design. Can you speak something?
I think that in hospitals, neutrals and white monochromes are used the most.
Okay.
Colors like gray, beige, whites are mostly used, and a subtle pastels can also be used for healing, because as you mentioned earlier, the warm and the cool colors. So the warmer tones of the colors can be used for healing because those colors express those sort of emotions.
Emotions, yes. Okay, our next question is how to decide color schemes for a room. I think we've
covered that.
Speaking about a lot of it. And our last thing is tips to obtain color concepts to reality. So, okay, I think I can talk a bit about this when concepts, like we said, that we maybe a client comes and gives you a photograph, like shows you a photograph. This is what I want. This is the concept that I want. Making that to reality, I guess if we have to talk about tips, the first thing I feel is we need to start small. Like we need to actually take the color and like do some testing on a smaller space, a smaller wall or an area, and only then go ahead if we are going to like it in long term.
Also, if you want to really have an idea of how some concept is going to look into your space, 3D visualizations, 3D views come into play, wherein you can literally have those colors on your wall and show them as in it's going to look like this, if it's going to look worth it or not. At least it's going to be it's going to be your illustration, but at least gives you an idea.
Right.
Moving forward.
Also, I think talking about concepts to reality, again, here the play of artificial light and natural light comes into the picture, because you really need to apply that to a smaller area, observe it for some time, see it throughout the day, how the color changes and what you feel about the color. That is, I think, again, another tip for getting concepts to reality. And one more thing I can think of is, for example, now in a living room, if I decide that, okay, I want to go for a monochromatic palette for the living room. But at the same time, if as per my residential plan, I do see a wall of dining room from my living room, and I decide to go for complementary in dining room. So that can't be. So you can't really decide on color palettes for each of the room in your, you also have to decide it as a whole picture, I guess.
Yeah, it needs to combine together as a
Yes.
whole design. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So again, I think let's address some other questions from the audience. Guys, the floor is open to you. Anusha, do we have any questions right now?
Yes, Samruddhi, we already have a question.
Yeah.
So one of them was to want you to explain 60, 30 and 10 rule once again.
Okay, so the 60, 30, 10 rule is a thumb rule for colors. So the 60% of the room can be a dominant color. For example, I am trying to choose a neutral scheme and I'm trying to use a beige and a gray. My gray is a color which I'm using as a contrast to highlight one area. So I would use the beige color on 3 of my walls, and I would use the gray color on 1 of my wall to highlight that wall. And that 10% is that pop of color that I would add with my artifacts or with my paintings or with my furnishings. So this is how the 60, 30, 10 rule works. You use the main color or the dominant color in major of your areas, and just use your second color, the secondary color, on your 30% of the area. That is maybe one wall or maybe like an L in a room, like that.
Before I move on to the next question, I'm going to launch another poll of something of what you would be interested for the next webinar session. You can answer, choose more than one topic. Okay. And while you guys do that, I'll take the next question. So someone wants to know color schemes for great photography spaces. How do you pick that? Photographical space, right? Like,
can you repeat the question?
Color schemes for great photography space. So I think they want to understand how to represent colors in a photograph, or like photogenic space, something of that sort. I do want more explanation on that, but this is what we have, and it's an anonymous question, so not sure
whoever is asked,
they want to understand the backdrops that can be used for a great photography outputs.
Yeah, something of that sort, I believe, right?
Okay, I think that this is a very vast topic to cover again.
Definitely.
According to me, if you want to go for neutrals, that's my go-to color palette, or monochromes, I think. And if it also depends on the kind of photography you're doing, to be honest, of what you want to highlight. You want to highlight the space, or you want to highlight the object in front of you. So I think monochromes and neutrals can be a very generic answer to the question. If we get a little more insight on the question, I think we'll be able to explain better.
Definitely. Like whoever asked that question, if you want, we want to understand more of what you are trying to ask us, you can drop that in the chat and we could take it up, or you can raise your hand and then I'll unmute so that we could have a discussion, right? Meanwhile, I'll take the next question. So another great question. How to choose color for exterior? We've been talking about colors in interior design all along, right? Like, let's talk about how exterior color works.
I think exterior color palettes are very different to interior color palettes, because you definitely cannot color your house in a complementary scheme, because that would be a disaster. For your facades, your neutral color scheme and your monochromes come into play. Either you can go all white, or you can of course play with the neutrals of grays, beiges, and of course you can also use pastel colors, which are as highlights in those areas. It also depends on kind of structure that is. If you
Yeah,
have,
I think elevation is one of the major key for exteriors. In your elevations, whichever part you want to highlight, I think those will naturally go into darker shades and all of that. So elevation plays a role in exterior coloring for sure. Uh, Anusha, do we have any more questions? I think before that, Kasturi, even I would want to ask you one thing. Furniture colors, like now deciding on your interior colors and your furniture colors, how does that go? Like, which would be given more preference if I have to ask you?
so actually the whole scheme, as I said earlier, I think I'm saying it for the third time now, but the mood boards are a very important thing. So we actually plan everything ahead of time. We even select the fabrics of furnishings ahead of time when we are selecting the color palette. Like for example, if we are selecting the marble for the flooring, the tile for the flooring, to the paint, to the textures, to the furnishings, everything, a basic mood board is in place, so I know what kind of color scheme I want to go for. So the furnitures, for example, if I'm going for a monochromatic or a neutral scheme, then I have the option to go for a pop of color in my sofa.
In my furniture, right?
Pink sofa, or maybe I do a blue sofa. But if I'm going for a scheme that has a little bit of color on my wall, then I would definitely go for a neutral color tone in my furnishing. So that's how it works.
Okay.
So the next question we have here is, right, suggestion for color for children's room. Like, what would you suggest? What is the color palette you can use for a children's room?
I think if the kids are very small, you should really go for complementary color schemes or analog color schemes, because these are like those color blocking schemes where kids at their very tender age can catch the colors. It is very exciting for them to look at colors and play colors and learn them. So I think you should go for a lot of colors in the kids' bedroom.
Any specific color you would say to avoid a children's room?
I think and monochrome should be avoided in color in the kids' bedroom, because that becomes very boring for them.
Also maybe white, because there are a lot of chances they're going to spoil
it. Yeah, light colors. So dark colors also are captivating for them, and they also can, spoil it.
Next question is how to incorporate prints with colors, like furniture, wall prints. Like, I think recently we have a lot of floral prints and all of that, right? Being very popular.
Yeah. So those come in the wallpaper category. If you want to add textures and colors, so the basic color schemes that we are talking about remain same. For example, if I'm trying to make a complementary color scheme, it's not necessary that I just paint my wall red. I can even put a red wallpaper and have a yellow sofa in front. So that's how the color schemes is just the colors that we're talking about, but you can definitely play with textures, because textures play a very important in making or breaking a space. Layering and texturing is very important. So if I'm just painting the wall, that's really not going to give that effect. So right now what we discussed is just the color palettes, but texture is whole another topic. But you can definitely use the same color palette and add textures to them also.
That's great. The next question we have is, right, do tones and shades of color change the impact of color schemes? Like how red...
Anusha, your voice is breaking.
Yeah, I think I have like a slight internet issue. So the question was... Okay, do tones and shades of color change the impact of the color scheme? Like red can be interpreted as bloodshed also, right? And also how like it represents passion and like the psychology of it, right? And how do we strike balance between this positive and negative aspect of colors?
I think to answer this question, you really need to be sure of what you want to do. Maybe have your mood boards in place, maybe have your 3D views in place. Along with that, how we, we told you to kind of have a lot of patch test samples done. That is how, and test them in natural lighting and in your artificial lighting. I think you need to test 2 or 3 tones in red and maybe 2 or 3 tones in the other color desired. And that's how you look at that color in your dark, in your natural light, in your artificial light. You see it on the wall, you see it, you take that sample around. I think that's how it's a lot of kind of work to achieve and strike that balance, which you kind of need to put into.
And also to add up to it, I think what tints and shades do is they do help us create illusions also. They do help us give that 3D effect. So you need to understand the purpose, that where it is needed, where you want to create that intimate closer space, and where you want to open up the space. So that is where I guess tints and shades come
into play. Yeah.
So we have Janani who had asked this photography question, right? Like, I think she wants to understand how to set color schemes while you photograph interior space, like how to include people in the space, what are the decors that you can use, no? So that you don't clash the color scheme, but also capture what is there in the space, right? While doing a photo shoot.
So I think neutrals is the majorly the answer to this, because that is something that does not pop out of the picture, and you can actually focus on things that are required. Like as you say, if like consider capturing a picture, you need to really know what you want to capture, and which is why if neutrals are used in the background, I think they will highlight the things that are important for you.
Yes, and also how you want to show the space, right? Especially like how you would design. So capture the same elements and use the same complementing decors.
Right. Correct. So if I'm not sure if we have answered the question, you can please elaborate the question, and maybe we can get back to you on this. Please properly write the question in the chat, and we'll address it for you.
Yes, Johnny, I've actually given you access to speak. If you want to elaborate the question, yeah, you're open to shoot out your thoughts so that we can take that up and discuss more. And yeah, meanwhile, I have one more question. Are neutral tones bland or grand? So such a very interesting question.
Yeah, neutral tones can be bland if all the colors are muted, but if you play with layers, textures, and the right kind of shades, they are extremely grand. Like all the classical, if you see the classical style of interiors is neutral shades. So definitely that's a grand style.
The ones that have the motifs and all of that, right?
Yes,
they have like great beige and neutral tones, but they're extremely grand. And
extremely
then
grand.
they add a bit of glitter and shine to it, like where texture also play, right? Like matte to glossy texture. Then it your neutral definitely changes to a grand grand scheme of color.
Grand scheme, correct.
Yeah, right. I think textures play a lot of effect when you use neutral colors.
Neutral colors, correct.
That was a very debatable and very interesting question. Any more questions, guys? I think. Okay, so Janani is explaining a question again.
Yes.
She's talking about photography for humans, like how to click photograph of ourselves, like how to, like in a completely different perspective, like how, yeah.
Okay, so what backdrops can we use in interiors or our pictures are nicer, I guess?
Yeah, I think how to probably dress ourselves or how to capture across different backgrounds, or what
I
to
think,
wear? Something of that sort was a question.
I think
believe.
along with your color scheme, I think whichever color scheme you go for, if you have the right kind of lighting, your pictures will be amazing. That's my answer to this question. Of course, neutrals and monochromes are, act as a canvas, as for interiors and for humans. But I think the right kind of lighting with the perfect color scheme that resonates with you, I think that should work.
Ritesh has a very interesting question. He's asking us, what colors can be used on interiors of a prison? Like, what have we usually seen prison to be?
Okay, I have never seen a prison real.
At least experience for real. It's only the perspective that we have from movies and what.
But I definitely, if I were to design a prison or paint a prison ever, I would definitely not make it dark, because the person is going through a lot. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, you definitely want to, not keep the person in the same vibe that he is in. You definitely want to lighter their mood. You want to
maybe a monochrome white.
Life is better out there. Very interesting question though.
Yeah, I think a monochrome white.
I think I can't remember the country exactly. I think one of the European countries, Sweden or this thing, they have a very colorful prison that's like totally different from all these dungy gray prison cells that we see, right? I have seen like a bunch of very colorful prisons. I think Norway, and I think the crime rate there also is extremely less. The prison occupancy rates also less. So I think it colors and
it plays study we can actually look at.
Like color psychology. I mean, that would be a best example to experiment or explore color psychology, how people experience, right? That's a great question. So it's getting interesting, guys. Any more questions that you want to take up?
Anusha, I think you can just keep it on the last slide. So they have our contact details also.
Or how to reach us, right?
Yes. Also, we've given contact details to Kasturi. So you can reach out to her as well.
I think we've reached the end of our session. So to everyone here, we have next couple of events coming up next month in November, one on earth blocks, and through the end of November, we are having another session to walk you through about estimation in interior designing. These were like most requested topics in the last 2 webinars that we've had. So you can follow our Instagram handle for more updates on the event and link to it. Any more questions? We're still open. We could take up another couple of questions if you guys have. I think we've reached the end of the session, right? It's almost a long weekend and it's a Friday evening. Let's not keep everyone waiting anymore. And let's say bye. And
it was a great session, guys. And I hope you all enjoyed along with us. Again, if there are anything you want to reach out to us, you have our details right on the slide. Thank you, and keep following us on Instagram, on YouTube. We have a lot of things for you coming up. Thank you, guys.
The best part of the sessions are the Q&A. So keep it coming, guys. We love discussing with you guys. And thank you, Kasturi, for being here and giving us a lot of insights how to use colors.
Thank you so much for having me.